Hey guys, how you doing? Uh, I wanted to give you an update on version 6.1.8 and actually give you a small tour of the functionality. As you might know, on this version, I actually removed the quick toggle functionality. I actually had some code design issues that make the script kind of turn off some functionality and then turn off other functionality at random. And that was my problem. So I had some code design issues that I needed to fix. But I wanted to have a stable version out. So this is it. This is a stable version, and a lot of the feedback you guys give me, I appreciate it. Thank you for that. I was able to find some issues that you guys catch that I would never saw. But thank you for your feedback. And all right, so this is it. This is version 6.1.8. Let me give you a tour. All right, guys. So here, um, so I'm gonna start from the basics and then build up from there. If this is the first time you see this how-to video, then it will be much helpful. If you already seen the previous how-to videos, some of these things might be redundant, so you can skip it. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. And okay, so we're gonna start. This is the welcome screen kind of thing. Before I used to have a kind of nice logo and things like that, but I'm running out of space for the script size. So I decided to get rid of all the fanciness and then just go right to it. So when you load the scripts and then you go to it, this is the first thing you're going to see. As you can see, this is the script for attackers. And if you want to move to the defenders, all you need to do is just uh, go back to this menu and then select defenders. And then once you select defenders, the very first time it's going to ask you where you put the script, right? So you might put, attackers on slot number one and defenders slot number two, or you might even choose some other number. So on Chronos Zen you have 8 slots, and you might be using some of those already, so you can put it anywhere you want. But you need to tell, the script where you put it. In my case, I put the defender script on slot number two. So I just select number two, then here we go. We go to the defenders. If I were to go back to the attackers, then select attackers, it's going to ask me, okay, where you put the attackers. In this case, I put the attackers on slot number one. And once you select it, if you were to go back again, it's not going to ask you because he already knows that information. So it's never going to ask you again unless you actually reload the script, in which case you need to provide that information once again. All right. So here is the main star. So from here you can move and select different operators just using the D-pad. And if you press the ADS button and then move, you see this optional information. And basically, what I did this for is, for example, the original operators are 10, right? You had 10 original operators for attackers and 10 original operators for defenders. So if you wanted to move to black eyes, you needed to do this kind of 10 times in order to go to buck, for example, right? So in order for you to move a little quicker, then you press the ADS button and then go and select the actual season. So you have a Velvet Shell, Black Eyes, Chimera. So I didn't went into the independent seasons for the year. I just selected the year. So if I were to go to Black Eyes, for example, and let it go, it's gonna show you the first operator on Black Eyes, and then you can just move to the next one. If I were to do, for example, let's do Chimera, then I'm gonna land in Lion, which was some of the operators on that season. So that's basic navigation, so you can go a little faster and select your operator. And then, for example, once you are good, let's go back to originals. For example, you want to start your attack on using Ash, so you just select it. I try to use the most commonly used guns as your default. So you can see here that you have your assault rifle selected has the default. So R4C is the default. And then if you press the gun swap button, you will see that actually it changes to the secondary gun. And this is the one I pick as the default. So in let's say that you are okay having the R4C has the default has your default rifle, but when you switch to the secondary, you don't want to use that one, and you want to use the other handgun. So the way to do that, you press the trigger button, and then press the option or the view, and then it's gonna bring this little menu, for example, and this menu has different menu options. The one I wanted to show you is the configure gun. So if you were here and then select this menu, it's gonna give you this uh, list of available guns for that particular operator you're using. So right now, I was using the secondary gun for Ash. So if I were to navigate, it's going to show me all the available secondary guns for Ash. So right now, this is updated to the current version on year 6. So all the guns available are updated into this version. So you can just see, for example, in the case of Ash, it didn't change, but some other operator got new guns, and some of them got some gun swap from other operators. But here you're gonna see all the list of the available guns for that particular operator. And if that's the one you prefer, then you select it. And from this point on, this particular gun will be your secondary gun for Ash. So if I wanna change operator, then just very easily just go back to this menu. You see how you see it by pressing the ADS and then the menu or the options key, and then you can navigate to the other operator, select it, and if you were to go back to Ash again, you will see that her selection actually remains. So all the changes that you make as far as gun selection for primary, secondary, they will be safe. Also, the anti-recoil settings that you select, they will be safe. I'll show you that in a second. So basically, that's how you navigate, right? So if you want to go back to Defenders, then you just go back to this menu and then select your Defenders. And same thing here. You have polls, and then you have the primary and the secondary options. So I try to catch all the different scenarios where the game and the script may get out of sync. But I haven't thought of everything. I'm pretty sure I missed some. So let's say that for some reason you are selecting the assault rifle on your game, but for example on the script it shows that you had the handgun. And of course, if you press the swap button, it's going to change your selection on the game, and then it also is going to change it on the script. So it's going to be out of sync. So to force that sync, you just press the ADS button and double tap the select button, and then it's gonna change the profile for the script without touching the game. So that's how you actually sync up the gun selection. So if that's correctly set now, then you can switch, and then the game is gonna pick it up, and also the script is gonna be synced up. And some of the scenarios when this happen is when you're droning and you are actually pinging some of the opponents. You might be changing your selection on the script, but the game, it won't be affected by your pinging because you're on the droning phase, not on the game phase. Uh, I tried to fix that by detecting that you are actually pinging a guy, and I think I have pretty good the timing on it, but sometimes I might get out of sync, but that's how you sync up. All right. So that's as far as your navigation and then gun selection. And another thing I want to show you is the different menus that are available for this particular version. So if you press, the ADS and then the view or the options button, you're gonna bring this menu. And then here we have this new menu option that I added for you guys. And here you can select the button mapping that you're using. Some guys like to swap the trigger and the ADS. They like to swap it. Some guys like to use the bumper buttons instead of the trigger buttons. And here is where you actually make your selection. In my case, I had a default profile, but this is the option I put on for you guys to select. So if you wanna know what each option contain, I will leave a link on the video description with the actual mapping that describes what are the buttons that are available. But basically, this menu give you all these different options, so you can select the default mapping that you prefer, and then once you're okay with it, then it's gonna save it. So next time you go into the script, it's gonna pick up your default button mapping. So I think I have like 21 uh, different profiles. I think that's it. Yeah, 21. But if you guys think of a different profile that I don't have, and you guys might need me to add it, just let me know, and I can add a new profile there. So for you guys that are weird and like to do some weird things with your button, and instead of changing the script, you can you know just send me a DM, and I can add your profile button selection into the script. So next time you just select your own profile. All right, so once you select your profile, then just press the select button, and then that button selection will be active. All right, so now again, if I go to this menu, then I already talked about the configure gun, but then you have the anti-recoil. So here's where you actually adjust, excuse me, where you adjust your anti-recoil for that operator. So the recoil settings here are independent from operator to operator and also from primary and secondary. So the way it works, let me go back. So right now I had the assault rifle for pulse. So if I were to have the handgun and then go into the menu, I'm actually adjusting the anti-recoil settings for the handgun. So don't get confused. Sometimes some people use that one and then switch to the rifle and say, oh, nothing is working. So you need to make your adjustments to the selected gun you have for that particular operator. So, and the way it works is well, to me it's kind of simple, but I had this button pointing up, down, left, and right. So if your gun is shooting and then when you're shooting is going up, that means that you need to add more force uh, uh, to the down anti-recoil so it levels up. So if your gun shoots up, then you need to press down. And on this version, actually, no, well, several versions behind too. When you're doing this and then you're testing your settings, you can actually shoot. When you shoot, and then you can see your recoil being adjusted. So you don't have to save it and or get out of this menu. You can just be testing it while you are adjusting it. So you make your adjustments live. I recommend you do that in one of those um, how you call that? I forgot. Personalized games, and then you just select a long time on your personal games, and then start testing your adjustments. Shooting on the wall, making sure that you have a good distance that you prefer. I actually set it up to be like 15 meters, and my recoil actually works on that range. That means if you go farther than 50 meters, you're gonna start seeing, the recoil just going a little off, and that makes sense. But if you go closer, then your recoil, you won't notice that it actually is off at all. It's gonna be very precise. So that's how you adjust it, right? So if your gun is going up, then you press down. By pressing down, then you can see that the anti-recoil is adjusting. If your gun is shooting and shooting to the right, then you press left. And if it's going the other way around, when you shoot, your gun moves to the left, then just you need more force to the right, so then you push a little more to the right. Once you have made your selection, then you can see your shooting is fine. Then just press the select button, and then it's gonna save it. But if you were to press the back button, for example, you are here and then you make all your adjustments and then press the back button, then what that means is that you are not going to be saving your changes permanently, and your changes are only going to be last while you have that particular operator selected. If I were to change operators, then my changes will be lost. All right. So just be aware. Someone asked me why you don't save it right away, and I said, yeah, kind of makes sense. But then some people were doing some adjustment, and then it went crazy, and it went too much because he actually tried to do the adjustments on an actual game. It was on the rank, and then he didn't want to save it, and he didn't have a way out, right? So I add that option where you press back, and then you don't save it, and then you can just change operator and then go back to it, and you have defaults. Anyways, it might be silly, but the option is there. You want it there. All right. As far as anti-recoil, so if you go to the reset, so this is an option I added to quickly reset back the anti-recoil values to the default values on the script. So if you screwed up for some reason and you want to just reset it and start over, that's how you do it. The difference between the back button and the reset is that the reset is going to reset your primary and your secondary for that particular operator. So the back button is only going to ignore the active gun, whatever it is, the primary or secondary. So it's just going to ignore that. But the reset is going to reset both. So for example, if we go here to the anti-recoil, and you can see, for example, I'm going to put 25, 95, and then save it, right? So if I go to the reset and then select it, if I go back again to the anti-recoil, and then you can see the values are back to the script default 3295. So that's what the anti-recoil does. I mean the reset does. It affects the anti-recoil things. All right, so this is also another new menu, and basically it gives you the ability to configure some of the values for the rapid fire. Some of my functions that I like I'm sorry guys, the T-bag function. I never used that until somebody was doing that every time they kill me. So I said okay. Then I added this function where I T-bag really quick, and I guess now when they do it to me, then I do it to them, and they stop. So a little bit toxic, but I like that function. So the values that I allow you to configure on this particular version, I will be adding more on the next versions, but right now I only allow you to add the rapid fire. The default rapid fire is 40 uh, bullets per second. And the reason why you should be allowed to configure that is that sometimes it's too much. Sometimes you are fighting against some guys that are not too good. You don't want to abuse them, well, unless you're a little toxic like me. But you don't want to abuse them. You might not want to have the rapid fire that bad, and then you can lower it. So you can just press down. It's gonna lower the values by 10. But if you press the ADS button and go down, then you're gonna start lowering it by 1. Or you go up, then you put it up by 1. All right. So you release the ADS and then go down and up. You do 10 increments of 10. And if you go with the ADS up, then you do increments of 1 or decrements of 1. All right. So that's as far as the rapid fire. Oh, sorry. Let me go back. So another value menu that I have here is, of course, this the T-bag speed. This is the speed that is gonna take to do up and down really quick. You know, on this you can just go crazy. You can go really high, and just gonna look like your avatar is just going wild. Your operator will just go up and down really quick, or you can just do a little slower. Anyway, so you might find that option useless, but that's something I like. Anyway, so the deadzone on the polar version, I have a side effect that I'm trying to fix, where if you are shooting and then you move the right stick, you move it a little bit, then the anti-recoil stops, and it does that in order to allow you to freely move, and find your target and then shoot again. But sometimes it's too sensible. What is the word? Too very sensitive to your movement. So the dead zone is going to allow you to actually play with the sensitivity and then lower it or put it higher, and then it's going to allow you to don't lose the anti-recoil if you just move it a little bit. But if you move it too much, then it's allow you to move it freely. So you have to find the value that best works for you. For me, 20 is fine. You might need to go a little lower, but just find the value that you liked and actually works best for you, right? And then that's it. I only had these what is it? These 4 values, 3 actually. Uh, all the different uh, quick toggles also had this particular menu, so just watch for the next version and look at the updates. And I also gonna be allowing that configuration to to be uh, to be using this menu to add the speed and the different values in here. All right. Um, I think that's it. Let me see. Yep, that's it, guys. So that's like a quick tour of this new version. I just want to show you something quick on the progressive anti-recoil. So I show you how the anti-recoil works here. You only had 2 values, right? So you have uh, you have Y and Z, and that's all you need. And then I start playing with those 2 values to get you the anti-recoil that you actually need. But on the progressive, we have more values, and and that brings a very interesting problem. For example, on the polar version, I'm able to save all your operator changes, your gun selection, your profiles for primary and secondary, your selections for dead on menu options and all that for all your operators. So everything gets saved. On the progressive, I'm only allowed to save 18 operators. So there are 9 defenders and 9 attackers. Uh, each one will have the option to save 1 primary and 1 secondary. And the reason being because progressive has more values to deal with. And that makes it a little harder to configure, but also give you the ability to have better anti-recoil control, and also doesn't have the side effect that the polar does where you move the right stick. So you're using um, the progressive anti-recoil, and then you move your right button, I mean your right stick, and you move it. Your anti-recoil recovers very quickly. So you might not be able to see that you lose a little bit of anti-recoil control because it recovers very quickly because of the nature of the algorithm that controls that. So let me give you a quick tour. So here on Ash, right? So let me go and show you the anti-recoil menu. So if you remember the other one had like a four arrows pointing up, down, left, and right. This guy has six different values, and what these values signify is, for example, I had 37 the star, so that's the vertical star will start pulling up with this force, right? Uh, so it's gonna pull down with this force, and then I also have a vertical end. At this time I have it the same because this particular gun doesn't change with time, right? So there are some guns like the SMG-11 that it start pulling down, and then I think that the second three it actually changes direction. So it's very hard to adjust that with the polar anti-recoil, but the progressive give you the ability. So you have the start, end, and then the duration. So these particular values, these three values are like a cycle. So they repeat every 3 seconds and then adjust. In my case, because I had 37 and 37 start and end, so pretty much it's the same. So every 3 seconds is making the same force to adjust the anti-recoil, and that's vertically, right? So here we had three values already that needs to be saved somewhere. So we had three values, and then we had the same values for horizontal. In the case of vertical, I only start going up, and then the values are from 0 to I think 160, something like that. The horizontal are from the point 0 to the left, start counting left. I mean, start counting minus. From point 0 to the right, then start counting um, positive values, right? So if your gun is moving to the right, you need to add force to the left to counter that. So you have to add minus some value, right? So these values are actually similar as the values from the vertical. You have a start, and then you have an end, and then you have a duration. You can see these values are a bit different on the duration because Ash gun actually moves to the left and to the right, uh, different than when it starts. So you start shooting, and then it moves too much to the right. But then with time, you can see that it actually move less to the right. So you need to put less force to make the right control. So this is how the progressive anti-recoil works. I have a video that I can put the description on it so you guys want to see it, where I actually adjusting some guns, on the game, and you can actually see these values actually taking place. But also, some of you guys wanted me to do some samples for Ash and also Ella. I think the Scorpio, you guys wanted me to do that. I actually use Ella with the Scorpion, and it's amazing the anti-recoil control that it has not only for the Scorpio, but also for the shotgun. Ella's shotgun is pretty good, but the recoil is crazy. So with this little script, then I'm able to control both. Uh, but like I said, you can only save one primary and one secondary. You had to make your choice. And okay, guys, I think that's it. This is it for version 6.1.8. Um, And you might see a lot of features not being included here for the reasons that I already mentioned. But if this script is stable enough, then I'm gonna be adding those features back. Not everybody care about those features, but there are some guys that actually do care about those. So I'm gonna be adding it slowly so I don't mess up the core functionality anymore. And I apologize to you guys for the boo-boo I make on previous versions. I know you guys had some pains on it, but I screw up like everybody else. I apologize, and I'll try to make a better job next time. So I hope this version is an upgrade from previous versions. If not, then let me know. I'm willing to hear your feedback and act on it and making sure that this script becomes the best script for Rainbow Six on Cronus N. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you soon. Bye.